Oprah has had too many opportunities to tell the world the truth. It's time to expose all her evil secrets and lies she's been spewing at us for years. So I want to tell you about the Rose McGowan and Oprah situation, but first, let me relive some childhood memories and remind you where you know Rose McGowan from. Remember the 1999 movie Jawbreaker? Without showing my age, let me just say it was like wildly inappropriate for me to have watched it when it came out because of how old I was in 1999, but somehow I saw it, and not just once, I actually owned it on DVD and I watched it religiously. I don't know why I liked it so much, but anyway, she's like the queen bee in that movie. Think of Regina George, Mean Girls. She was like that girl, okay? But let's fast forward. So Rose has been so outspoken about her distrust of Oprah, particularly regarding Oprah's past connections to a man whose names rhyme with Barney Springsteen and another man, Russell Simmons, both of whom have been accused of SA. Now, in August of 2021, Rose shared a photo of Oprah kissing Springsteen on the cheek at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, tweeting that Oprah is as fake as they come and supports a sick power structure for personal gain. To quote, she actually said, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of at Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't. From being pals with Springsteen to abandoning and destroying Russell Simmons' victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. She is as fake as they come, #lizard. She not only accused Oprah of being friends with him, despite Oprah claiming she didn't know about his alleged behavior towards women, but she also accused Oprah of just flat out lying to everyone about just how connected she is to him. Now, McGowan also stated that she was abandoning Simmons' victims because Oprah announced she would no longer be an executive producer on a documentary highlighting Simmons' accusers' stories. Rose then went on to also say that Oprah promotes a sick power structure and that Oprah prioritizes personal gain over supporting victims of misconduct. Oprah has not directly responded to McGowan's accusations. However, in 2017, Oprah condemned the accusers' actions, saying she was glad women have started speaking out. When Rose was criticized for throwing stones, McGowan replied by saying, "You think I throw stones? No, bad word, I drop bombs." Now, in 2018, Seal called her out for turning a blind eye to Spinstein's alleged misconduct, also quoting, "You heard the rumors but had no idea. My bad. When you've been part of the problem for decades, but secretly they think you're the solution." Dave Chappelle also weighed in and said, "Once you see their genuine faces, you won't be able to stand them since they are too diabolical to bear." So, despite being a supporter of the Me Too movement, critics argue that her past associations don't line up with her public stance. This whole situation highlights the complexities of Hollywood's power dynamics and the ongoing conversation about accountability and support for survivors of misconduct. Now, I want to highlight a story that quite honestly shocked me because I really never heard of it and I thought I had heard it all. But let's rewind and go to the year 1986. A very young 20-year-old Cindy Crawford appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show alongside her manager, John Casablancas. That's a wicked last name, right? Anyway, Oprah asked Casablancas, "So, did you her? Did she always have this body?" She asked him this and then proceeded to direct Crawford to stand up and show her body. Like, how awful. Like, when I watched that, I actually felt the anxiety through my body as if I was Cindy herself. I just honestly can't imagine the horrible feeling that gave her. Cindy stood up and did exactly what Oprah asked and would later go on the record saying she felt objectified and traumatized by the whole experience and recalled it as an instance where she was like treated like a child, seen but just not heard. Crawford actually reflected on this experience in the Apple TV Plus docuseries, The Supermodels, and expressed how it made her feel judged and like she wasn't seen as a person with a voice in her own destiny. Now, bestie to the rescue, because here came Oprah's best friend Gayle King to her defense, saying she was surprised and disappointed, noting that Crawford had appeared on Oprah's show many times with pleasant experiences. Like, that's fine, Gayle, but that's not how things work. Like, I have had many pleasant experiences at Red Lobster, but that doesn't take away from that one time I had a horrible one with a rude server and cold food. Anyway, some social media users felt as though Crawford was being too sensitive given her profession as a model, while others acknowledged Oprah's poor choice of words. Oprah has since pulled that interview off YouTube, like a whole 4 decades later. But what do you guys think? Was Oprah doing too much, or was Cindy just a little too soft? Okay, So I know the election is done, but I want to lightly touch on this next one. It was reported that Oprah denied allegations that she was paid to endorse Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential election. Social media posts claim she received $1 million, but Oprah clarified that the payment was actually for event production services and not a personal fee. There was so much controversy over endorsement because celebs like Beyonce, Eminem, Megan Thee Stallion, and Lizzo, they all endorsed Harris, which actually sparked the rumors of paid endorsements. Winfrey went on to say that she wasn't paid a dime, and the $1 million went towards production fees for her interview with Kamala Harris. No evidence actually supports the claim that Harris's campaign paid the celebrity for endorsements. The campaign's Federal Election Commission records show no evidence paying any of these celebrities, and Cardi B even went on the record saying, "I didn't get paid $1." Now, let's discuss Oprah's school scandal quickly. If you didn't know, Oprah opened a leadership academy for girls in South Africa back in January of 2007. It apparently cost her $40 million, is 52-acre campus, and its inaugural class of 72 girls graduated in 2011, which all sounds amazing. But back in 2007, soon after it was opened, it was hit with a scandal when a dorm matron was accused of physically and verbally abusing 6 students. Now, Oprah was devastated, calling it one of the, if not the most devastating experiences of her life. Upon hearing the allegation, she immediately flew to the school with Gayle King and a psychiatrist, Dr. Bruce Perry, to investigate. They found a climate of intimidation and fear and a lack of leadership. Oprah encouraged students to come forward promising support and protection. Oprah did take swift action. The headmistress was fired for not addressing the allegations. Oprah initiated changes in personnel and school management. She hired investigators from the US to look into this, and police were notified, which led to an arrest and 13 charges. So Oprah then, of course, like, you get a card, you get a card, you get a card, everybody in the room, and gave each student a cell phone with her personal phone number on speed dial. Like, imagine having Oprah's personal phone number on speed dial. I just don't know if I'd be able to act right after that. But this scandal was like a major blow to Oprah's reputation. Her swift response did help mitigate the damage, and the students and the parents appreciated her actions, and many who had considered leaving actually changed their minds. From then until now, there hasn't been much news about the school, but we are to assume all is well. However, there was a brief moment in 2023 where like some rumors popped up that several students went missing, but there's no credible news sources for that. So either Oprah's gotten really good at managing scandals, or it's just a bunch of talk. Either way, it's concerning. So very strange.
In the world of Hollywood, Oprah's relationships with celebrities have always been talked about, whether it's good or bad, and when it comes to the Jackson family, mostly been bad. Janet Jackson in particular made it very clear that she wasn't a fan of Oprah, especially after the infamous 2010 interview with her parents, Joe and Katherine Jackson. Randy Jackson, Michael's brother, was the first to make his opinion of Oprah known, tweeting angrily about Oprah, writing, "I know how Oprah feels about my brother and family," going on to accuse her of making Michael look bad in public by airing old footage of his 2005 trial. He even went as far as claiming Oprah, quote, wanted to see Michael in jail. Janet Jackson also went after Oprah. When Oprah was granted access to Michael's former home to interview his kids, Janet wasn't happy. The Jackson family had long known that Michael didn't really trust Oprah, especially when it came to his family, so Michael had made it clear that he didn't want them exposed to the public eye. So you can imagine how the family felt when Oprah pushed ahead with filming an exclusive interview with his kids. Janet was reportedly furious about this, believing Oprah was using Michael's family for ratings, which, I mean, not much speculation there, that's clearly what's going on. A source close to the Jacksons told the National Enquirer that Janet called Oprah out during a heated phone call, at one point saying, quote, "Oprah, you make me sick." And yeah, can't really blame her there. Oprah had crossed a line. The Jacksons felt like they were being used as pawns in Oprah's media chess game, and it was clear that Janet in particular wasn't having any of it. She wasn't the only one upset though. Later, Michael's brother Jermaine took to Twitter criticizing Oprah for blindly supporting the Leaving Neverland documentary, which reignited old accusations against Michael. He tweeted, "So many in media, including Oprah, blindly taking Leaving Neverland at face value. We faced similar graphic claims, plus trial by media in 2005. Jury saw through it all. Trial by law proved Michael's innocence. long ago. Now, not too long ago, Ice Cube shared some personal grievances about being snubbed by two major TV outlets, Oprah Winfrey's show and The View. Now, during an appearance on Tucker Carlson, which oddly enough he was on there, Ice Cube shared his thoughts about his attempts to get on both programs, only to be turned down. According to Cube, his exclusion wasn't just about his work, but his political views. He said, "I tried to go on The View, they didn't have me on The View," adding that producers told him some of the hosts simply didn't like where he was coming from. He went on to say, "I've been on there before, it's just when I become an independent thinker, I don't follow their brand of politics, I guess." Cube also pointed the finger at Oprah, claiming she's had issues with him for years. "I've been excluded on Oprah," he went on to say, recalling how he was left out of promotional opportunities for his projects. One glaring example was the time he produced Barbershop, a movie he felt deserved a spot on Oprah's show, but he was left off the guest list. "I wasn't invited to participate with the cast," he said. And it wasn't just Barbershop. Cube also produced the show Black White, and Oprah interviewed the full cast, but again, minus Cube. He said, "She had the whole cast on, and I wasn't invited, so I don't know what that's really about." Ludacris didn't have a very good time on his Oprah appearance in the mid-2000s, describing it as uncomfortable. He didn't shy away from sharing the details either. He was on to promote the movie Crash, an Oscar-winning film centered around racial discrimination in America. While on the show with his co-stars, Oprah took the opportunity to address some issues that she had with his music, specifically the use of the N-word and derogatory language towards women. Now, according to Ludacris, Winfrey's questioning felt more like an interrogation than an interview. In a GQ interview after the show, he talked about how uncomfortable the entire experience left him, saying, quote, "She edited out a lot of my comments while keeping her own in. Now, of course, it's her show, but we were doing a show on racial discrimination, and she gave me a hard time as a rapper when I came on there as an actor." Things didn't really get any better either. Ludacris said Oprah then pulled him aside for a quick private chat, saying, "After the taping, she pulled me into a room and we had a 5-minute conversation. What I got was that by having rappers on her show, she feels like she's empowering them." The conversation left him feeling like an outsider though, especially because the vibe of the whole show had left him feeling so off. Ludacris went on to say that being on the show was like being at someone's house that doesn't really want you there. Oprah later defended herself and made it clear that she didn't have a problem with rap music as a whole, but that while she respected the freedom of artists to express themselves, she had concerns about content that could marginalize certain groups, particularly women, saying, "I don't want to be marginalized by music or any form of art. I'm a woman who has worked very hard for my status in the world, and as a human being, I feel rap is a form of expression, as is jazz. I'm not opposed to rap. I'm opposed to being marginalized as a woman." Ludacris and Oprah didn't have any kind of feud after this though. It was awkward, but that was really about it. For this next rapper though, not quite the case. 50 Cent did not hold back when talking about how he feels about Oprah Winfrey. In his book Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, he talked about how he initially wanted to appear on her show to impress his grandmother and prove his success, but Oprah publicly slammed his lyrics, calling them misogynist and accusing him of glorifying violence. He wrote, "She was completely against everything that was in my music, so she ain't never going to have me on that show. I'm never going to reach that platform," which is confirmation of being a huge success. This was a turning point for 50 Cent, leading him to jokingly say, "If we can't be friends, then at least let's be enemies." He even named his dog after Oprah apparently and poked fun at her fan base, saying that they were mainly just elderly white women. So yeah, there was some tension to say the least here, but 50 did say later he and Oprah became more cordial, but he still disagreed with her criticism, saying, "Are you going to tell a painter what to paint? I'm an artist. Why am I limited to what you feel should be said?" Then in 2019, 50 took to Instagram to talk about Oprah again, talking about how she, quote, "goes after black men," referring to her involvement in the essay allegations against Michael Jackson and Russell Simmons, while being totally silent about men like Epstein or that major film producer with the initials HW who basically kicked off the Me Too movement. I wonder why that is. Oh. Yeah. Also in 2019, Monique took her turn calling out Oprah. It all started back when Monique was promoting her Oscar-winning role in Precious. Oprah did an interview, but not in the way you're thinking. The interview was with Monique's brother, Gerald, who had mistreated her growing up. And Monique, in a now deleted Periscope video, admitted that she had given Oprah her blessing to talk to Gerald, but what she didn't expect was for Oprah to bring her parents, Stephen and Alice, into the mix. Monique was shocked and horrified when they appeared in the audience for the interview. In the video, Monique said that Oprah crossed a line by involving her parents in something so personal, explaining that it was one thing for Oprah to interview Gerald, but the public display with her parents was another. As she said in a later interview, Oprah didn't just interview my brother, she had my parents there too, and that hurt my heart. While Monique tried to move past the issue and even forgive Oprah, the scars from that betrayal were deep. The source told Radar Online in 2010 that Monique was still holding onto a grudge against her parents too, believing they hadn't fully acknowledged Gerald's mistreatment of her. The source added that even though Monique had forgiven Oprah, she couldn't let go of the hurt from her family's role in the drama, and that grudge, she said, could, quote, go to the grave. Alright, we've dumped on Oprah quite a bit, but here's a situation where she was clearly the victim. Joan Rivers was never one to hold back. If she didn't like you, you'd know it. Her beef with Oprah was no exception, and it really didn't take long for this little feud to become a thing. Rivers actually started it on Oprah's first ever national TV appearance on The Tonight Show in 1985. Oprah, in her book Food, Health, and Happiness, talked about the moment, writing, "It was all going smoothly, I was starting to settle in, and then it happened. Joan interrupted with perhaps the only question I hadn't prepared for, so how'd you gain the weight?" Oprah was understandably taken aback, continuing, "Wait a minute, did she just use my national television debut to ask me why I was so fat?" She added that Joan wagged her finger and told Oprah, "I don't want to hear your excuses. You shouldn't have let this happen. You're still a single girl." Yikes. And things didn't even end there. Joan took it up a notch, challenging Oprah to come back 15 pounds lighter next time. Jeez, yeah. Joan Rivers was just savage. Funny, but she had her not so great moments, no doubt. Now, according to some sources, Joan wasn't just playing the tough love card here, she allegedly couldn't stand Oprah, calling her completely opportunistic. One insider claimed that Joan says Oprah is the biggest phony in the world, feels Oprah's real gift is exploiting people's suffering and emotions and turning them into TV ratings. And she's not entirely wrong there. I think people like Dr. Phil are way worse in that regard, and I mean, Jerry Springer. My God. At least Jerry wore it on his sleeve though. That show was just so in your face offensive. There was no hiding it. You got what was on the tin. But anyway, totally fair for Joan to call her out for that. But calling her fat on national TV, that was pretty low.
Oprah isn't exactly known for being a nice person, but Cindy Crawford, Elizabeth Taylor, and even the Olsen twins had interactions with her that left a lot of people feeling kind of awkward watching them. So when Oprah interviewed Cindy Crawford and elite model management founder John Casablancas back in 1986, she had the model stand up so the audience could see her body. Well, when Cindy was reflecting on the encounter 37 years later on a show called The Supermodels, she was like, yeah, I was to be seen and not heard. And when you look at it through today's eyes, Oprah was saying, stand up and show me your body. Show us why you're worthy of being here. Now in the moment, Cindy didn't really realize and she didn't recognize it. And watching it back, she was like, oh my gosh, that was so not okay, especially from Oprah. When you consider Oprah's history with body image and how much of her platform has revolved around it, yeah, really not okay. When Robin Williams and Nathan Lane did a joint interview to promote The Birdcage back in 1996, Oprah brought up a lot of rumors about Nathan's sexuality, since he played an openly gay character in the film. Now at the time, he wasn't ready to discuss his sexuality publicly, so Robin thankfully quickly changed the topic by making it a joke. On a 2023 episode of Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist, Nathan said, I don't think Oprah was trying to out me. Alexa speaking, I think she was. But Nathan said to Robin beforehand, I'm not prepared. I'm so scared of going out there and talking to Oprah. I'm not prepared to discuss that I'm gay on national television. I'm not ready. And Robin was like, oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it. We don't have to talk about it. We won't talk about it. And he mentioned how Robin swooped in and diverted Oprah and went off on a tangent and protected him because Robin was a saint. Loved Robin Williams. Never heard a bad thing about him. In 1988, Elizabeth Taylor playfully shut down Oprah's attempts to get her to address dating rumors, and Oprah teased her about her refusal to give a straight answer. Reflecting on the interview, which she called her worst years later, Oprah was like, oh yeah, it's painful to watch. For many reasons, including my bad hair. Oprah, it's hard to watch for other reasons, not just your bad hair. Now, she explained that before the interview, Elizabeth Taylor specifically asked Oprah to stay away from questions about her relationships. And then Oprah was like, well, it's kind of hard to do when you're Elizabeth Taylor. You've been married 7 times. To her credit, she later apologized to me. Yeah, in private probably. I'm sorry, I think women should have as many relationships as they want, as many marriages as they want. Go nuts! does. In February of 1993, Oprah landed the first live televised talk with Michael Jackson in 14 years. She asked the unthinkable in an hour-long television special, which portrayed an eccentric but vulnerable star. To understand the enormous buzz that an interview with Michael Jackson generated in February of 1993, you gotta understand the context, folks. Since the mid-1980s, people speculated that Michael Jackson wanted to become white, that he had bought the Elephant Man's remains, he slept in an oxygen chamber, he married Elizabeth Taylor, he suffered from anorexia, his best friend was a monkey, the monkey was telepathic, and that he was a virgin. Never before had a celebrity provoked so much fascination or so many utterly bizarre headlines. Michael Jackson had never responded to anything, except through his songs. For instance, Leave Me Alone, one of my personal favorite songs, from his 1987 album Bad, was the first song in what became something of a subgenre for him. Michael taking media harassment and responding to it through his music. And that's how it went until February 10th of 1993, when, sitting across from Oprah Winfrey in an ABC Live special, he responded. According to Oprah, this conversation was unscripted, uncensored. After addressing how Michael felt going from an adorable prodigy and growing up through the industry, she laid the groundwork to address the singer's controversial physical appearance. And then after that, she was firing away. She was like, oh, is it true that you sleep in an oxygen chamber to stay eternally young? Did you buy the Elephant Man's remains? She went through a litany of crazy headlines, all of which Michael Jackson was like, nope, absolutely not. They did talk about facial appearance and presentation as well. And in the most awkward part of the entire interview, Oprah took up the topic of the singer's love life. She said, I'm gonna ask you something, and it's embarrassing for me, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Are you a virgin? Michael sighed. He tried to laugh it off, and he replied, how could you ask me that question? Pretty much everything else she asked him that's controversial falls under the long list of topics I'm not allowed to talk about. But I can say they were extremely intrusive and personal, not to forget controversial. And it kind of just really shows Oprah's true colors. She wants the headlines. So let's talk about other members of the Jackson family for a moment. While Janet Jackson was okay with being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey after Michael's passing, she was horrified when her brother's immediate family was called on the show. She saw that as Oprah using his family as a means to boost her ratings. And there are reputable sources that have reported that there was an intense conversation between Janet and Oprah, one that created a lasting tension and hatred, and rightfully so. When you look at everything else we've talked about today, so far, to me it seems like Oprah really just does care about the ratings and being in the spotlight. On a 2021 episode of Literally with Rob Lowe, Oprah said she made a big mistake when she asked Sally Field, hey, does Burt Reynolds sleep with his toupee on? Then the actor went cold. And Oprah was like, oh yeah, I even say now, like I cringe to even think why I asked that question. But I asked it because the producers are like, you have to ask, you have to ask, you have to ask. That's what everybody wants to know. Well, Sally shut down and Oprah could not get in again. Look, I don't know. I'm not an interviewer, but I think there's a lot more eloquent ways that topic could be broached if you need to ask it. Yes, I know Oprah is not known for her subtlety. I think we've established that by now. But still, time to go back in time to 2004 when Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were the biggest thing in media, and Oprah had them on her show because that's what you do. They had a media empire. At the time of the interview, rumors have been circulating that Mary-Kate was suffering from an eating disorder. And later that year, she did spend time in a rehab facility to receive treatment for a health-related issue. Good on her for taking care of herself. But Oprah said, point blank, oh, I know there's a rumor that's recently surfaced that upsets you, right? You know, the one about eating. Which, also, the fact that it upsets you, maybe we shouldn't bring it up. And Ashley quickly jumped in to try and shield her sister, saying, yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write. We try not to read the good or the bad because it just comes with the territory. Either you're too fat, too skinny, and people are just gonna write what they... And she was interrupted by Oprah. She didn't give it a chance to finish it or try to distract. Oprah was like, well, what size are you, by the way? And you could see both sisters looking extremely uncomfortable. And Ashley once again tries to deflect. She's like, size? Like, we're both petite. And it's fair, they were very. And then Oprah was like, oh, that's so interesting. She's like trying to joke it off, the fact that she interrupted and is just being very pushy. She's like, I'm obsessed with size. And you're like, I really don't know. And then Mary-Kate pipes up because she knows that she's the one who needs to speak, sadly. And she's like, you know, I really don't know. If we were obsessed with our size, it'd be like, I don't know, a different story. Like, take a hint, Oprah. Move on, find something else. Most recently, Toni Braxton took aim at Oprah, alleging that the TV titan was mean to her way back in 1998. Toni was having some financial problems and Oprah was like, we're gonna poke at this. She said that the chat on TV severely damaged her reputation because Oprah made some choice remarks about overspending, which was around the time when Braxton declared bankruptcy. So this all came to light in a taped interview for VH1. It was a behind the music special, and Toni said, she was so freaking mean to me, I was in shock. And this is the funniest statement, folks. She said, I hear you have Gucci flatware. I'm Oprah Winfrey and I don't have Gucci flatware. And Toni was like, well, you don't have Gucci flatware because you didn't want to buy it. It's not because you couldn't afford it. And Braxton was like, yeah, she made me feel this big. Like, okay, great. You don't have it. I don't have it. Big whoop.
Oprah Winfrey has been spotted in a video from 1998 inviting Hollywood stars to one of Diddy's infamous parties. Now, she appears in the video clip inviting guests to the star-studded bash, Diddy's 29th birthday, and she is joined by other well-known celebrities gushing over the star and his multi-million parties. Now, this is not a good look for Oprah. Now, Oprah has had many controversies throughout her life, but being involved with Diddy might be the final nail in the coffin when it comes to her career. She and Diddy have appeared together at numerous charity events, and Oprah has featured Diddy on her show, where they discuss not only his career but also his charitable efforts. Now, this appearance helped elevate Diddy's message about social responsibility and community engagement, which is kinda ironic if you think back to it now. Now, this isn't the first time Oprah has been linked to some horrible men in the entertainment industry that have ended up behind bars. I mean, it's starting to become a pattern. When she was asked about this, she said she tried to focus less on the crimes and the victims' stories and instead inside the bigger picture, which a lot of people had issues with. Her former friend Seal took to Instagram to call her out for her suspicious behavior. "You have been a part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution," Seal said. "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually doing those things to young starry-eyed actresses. My bad," he said. Yikes. Now, it seems like Oprah definitely knew what was going on. What's strange is that Oprah has actually been a victim to the crimes Diddy has been accused of. You see, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she had been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. As a young teenager, and after suffering for years, she then ran away from home, and a year later she became pregnant. Now, she gave birth to a son, but he was premature and passed away only a few weeks later. Now, Oprah has used this story to show her strength and to inspire people, but it seems like she might have helped continue this cycle towards young girls. I mean, we have to talk about the whole sketchy situation about her all-girls school that she created. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGobo of mistreating them. She was then arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 14 different charges. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said of the returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life." Now, it seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running. I mean, this whole thing could have been avoided. Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the South African girls' school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that she covered up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, this case was later settled outside of court before an arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened here though, as speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy have spread like wildfire across social media. Now, could Oprah have been taking the girls? That's definitely a possibility. Not to mention, parents also came forward with complaints about the school. In March 2007, some parents complained because they were only allowed to visit their children once a month, and the girls were only allowed to use their cell phones on weekends. One parent said, "It was a nightmare. We had only 2 hours to see my child. Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." Another mother said her homesick daughter was very upset over the rules. "Michelle phones me in tears sometimes, and then I don't know what to say to her." Shockingly, the school is still up and running, which is crazy considering all the scandals that have happened there. Then there's her canceled documentary. Oprah apparently spent a fortune to make sure the docuseries created about her never sees the light of day after clashing with Oscar-winning filmmaker and director Kevin McDonald over the project. As the Apple TV Plus deal was coming to an end, Miss Winfrey bought back the rights to her docuseries and has since decided to put the doc on hold, a spokesperson for Oprah told Page 6. In addition, another source said said, Kevin made the film, but Oprah didn't like it and he refused to change it, and Oprah has paid back her fee to Apple. Internet users reacted to the news that the documentary was putting on hold, and they were not impressed. Many questioned if Oprah was worried that some damaging information was set to become public. Well, now isn't this sketchy? One person wrote in page 6's comment section. Another individual asked, what is she afraid of or hiding? Similar takes showed up on Twitter, as one person wrote, what is Oprah hiding? While another tweeted, Oprah Winfrey shelled out a fortune to prevent a documentary release. Sounds legit, money talks, right? Not the truth. Yeah, I gotta say that this is pretty sketchy sounding. Then we know she's mistreated people in the past, whether it be celebrities, guests on her shows, or even her own stepmother. Yep, it was reported that she was accused of being heartless to her own stepmother after she was kicked out of the 5-bedroom South Nashville home she shared with Oprah's father for 14 years. Barbara Winfrey told Daily Mail that her life had been deliberately ruined by the talk show legend following a bitter divorce with Vernon Winfrey. Oprah's a billionaire 3 times over, her help to live better than this, Barbara pointed out, adding, she said publicly that she offered to sell the house and give me the proceeds, but that's a lie. She never said that. Oprah owns property all over the world, so there's no reason to sell this house other than to spite me. It's a personal vendetta, she said. Now, legal papers claim that Oprah was involved in a conspiracy to separate her father and stepmother and essentially make the latter homeless. What she has done is nothing short of evil, but she doesn't scare me. Her actions cause me to disrespect her, Barbara said. Now, it seems like Oprah is always at the scene of the crime, and online users have been convinced about her downfall for years. One online user posted this on Reddit, and I honestly have to agree with it. They said, Oprah Winfrey is not a hero, nor should she be considered a role model. Successful? Sure. A good role model? Not really. She's nice, and she's certainly not an awful person, but she also consistently promotes individuals on her show who peddle pseudoscientific nonsense to a massive crowd of guests and television viewers. Dr. Oz being one of the most famous examples. The willingness to promote this type of content either means that the Oprah Winfrey Network is unwilling to do background research into these guests and their claims, or that they will promote whatever gets them the highest view count, making it rather low value and possibly harmful to pretty much anyone who watches the show. Why would anyone look up to someone who endorses science? Anyone who does even basic research into some of the so-called professionals that come on the show would realize they're spewing absolute nonsense. I don't know if this is unpopular or not, but I feel like a lot of people look up to her and think of her as both a pioneer and a good person. I don't see it. Lazy, unhinged, and disconnected from reality, or lazy and opportunistic. That's how I see her and her show. Now, other people responded to this post in agreement, saying, I noticed this about Oprah 20 years ago. Once you see her, you can't unsee her. She seems shallow, egotistical, self-absorbed, and all the rest of it. Another said, it wasn't until I was older and seen exactly what her show was about in the 80s and early 90s, and seen she capitalized off making a mockery of her trauma. No longer a role model, just another rich person who snubs their noses at anyone who's gone through life as she has. Makes me sick, actually. While a third person said that she was just straight up evil. So, does Oprah have anything to do with Diddy's crime ring? I honestly wouldn't put it past her. I guess we'll just have to wait for more details to come out to see if she was involved.
During an intimate discussion with Oprah, peeling away the layers of his complex life that we now know all too much about, Puffy once evoked curiosity by avoiding details about the origin of his well-known moniker. The conversation, part of an interview for Oprah's O magazine, began casually. Oprah just inquired about the name's beginnings, and Puffy said, it's a nickname somebody gave me. And now Oprah being Oprah, she probed a little further, and he got reserved. He said, I've never told anyone that. I know you can get people to tell you everything, Oprah, but I can't look you in the eye and explain that one. He said, no more Puff Daddy. The first week in June, we're gonna have a name change ceremony. Now that was something he announced in 2001. He said, no, I'm gonna rock with the name that we all know him by now. He said, my man, Biggie gave me that name. Now this was all after crimes committed by Puffy that I can't talk about on here without sounding like a cartoon character, but I'm sure you can find them. Also, this is kind of around the same time that folks assumed that Puff Daddy had something to do with the passing of Biggie. Make of that what you will. Now, in terms of folks who have called Oprah out for hanging out with icky people, Rose McGowan is the name you're gonna want to remember. She's called Oprah as fake as they come in a scathing Twitter post. Now, this was technically over Oprah's friendship with scummy producers who I can't even name because they're that awful. She shared a photo of Oprah kissing a disgraced Hollywood producer on the cheek. Nope, we can't show that photo, folks, just work with me here. It was a photograph taken at the 2014 Critics' Choice Movie Awards. It's really easy to find. Now, Rose McGowan is an early Me Too activist. She gets accused a lot of folks of wrongdoing, specifically this particular producer who I can't name. So she accompanied that photo with a caption reading, "I am glad more are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she isn't. From being pals with insert anonymous producer's name here, to abandoning and destroying victims, she is about supporting a sick power structure for personal gain. Once again, she is as fake as they come. Hashtag lizard." Now, the victims she referred to are those of a hip-hop music mogul. Technically not the one I'm talking about today, but put two and two together and make four, folks. She was talking about one who was accused of more than a dozen cases of SA or misconduct since 2017. So not the 2024 situation. Now, that guy responded by admitting inappropriate conduct in some instances, but he disputed the allegations of non-consensual interactions. So here's the thing. As allegations continue surfacing about all these infamous white parties, the freak-offs, and all the other hula-baloo, so it might be a hot minute before we get the details that we're looking for because everybody had to sign an NDA. So if we're looking at it, it's pretty boilerplate. You can't share information related to the disgraced music mogul, you can't talk about partners, family members, friends, business associates, you can't photograph, film, or record Puff Daddy or anybody around him without written consent, you can't, and it names the specific social media platforms where you can't post any photos or videos of the Bad Boy founder without permission. You also can't give an interview, you can't write a book, you can't discuss anything you saw or anything you were part of, and it just really covers anything that could get Puffy into trouble. Granted, the NDA does expire. I did some research and very popular news outlets, the three initial ones, they say that the signed document is valid for the length of Puff Daddy's life, plus 20 years or 70 years. Yeah, whichever is longer. Look, it's boilerplate, but it's, kind of explaining why anybody that attended these parties kind of needs his written consent to share any info, and seeing as he's currently behind bars and keeping tight lips, yeah, I know. But here's the thing, the NDA hasn't kept the authorities out of somebody's business. Even though it sounds airtight, we all know some of his deepest secrets, and that kind of was enough for the city of Miami to say, we want our key back. Now, they gave him the key in 2015, so 9 years ago, after his former media company, Revolt, held the Revolt Music Conference in the city. Now, after the footage came out of him and Cassie, poor thing, and all the allegations and the arrest, Miami was like, yeah, no. They also said no more to Puff Daddy Day. That was an annual thing on October 13th, apparently. And also, this isn't the first key to the city he's lost this year. Back in June, New York was like, absolutely not. The mayor sent a letter asking for the honorary key back, and Puff Daddy was like, okay, here you go. And that's not the only thing that's been like, yeah, no, we want our stuff back. I believe Howard University revoked the honorary degree that Puffy received in 2014. And remember when I mentioned Revolt a moment ago? Yeah, that was sold back to the employees. They were like, yep, no, here you go, take that back. He doesn't deserve it. So one person who has come forward might provide some answers as to why everybody else is staying mum. 50 Cent has had a lot to say about Puffy, about Oprah, you name it, we're gonna say it. Now, he's addressed his relationship with Puffy in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. And he was like, look, I worked in the same circles as Puffy back in the day, and he kind of explained why he never attended any parties. He said, I've been very vocal about not going to Puffy parties and doing like that. I've been staying out of that for years. It's just an uncomfortable energy connected to it. Yes, I'm self-bleeping myself, folks. It's easier for my editor. So he asked to take me shopping, 50 said. I thought that was the weirdest in the world because that might be something that somebody says to somebody they're interested in romantically. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not effing with this weird energy or weird coming off the way he was just moving. From that, I wasn't comfortable around him. The producer and actor is actually making a documentary about the allegations. I believe Netflix bought the rights back in May, and apparently the proceeds from the docuseries is going to go towards victims of SA. Now, when folks asked, hey, why are you making this documentary? 50 Cent said, "I'm the only one from hip-hop culture that's produced quality projects. We do have a lot of talent within our culture where the talent has developed a comfortability in front of the camera, so they're usually a part of it as an actor or driving force of why someone would watch the project, but not the behind-the-scenes production, producing the whole project. So there's a difference." Now, once again, folks, you gotta remember, 50 Cent worked adjacent to Puffy in the early 2000s, but he's like, nope, we were never, ever, ever friends. He said, and I quote, "It was mostly work. I wouldn't call it a friendship because there wouldn't be disappointment between us if we didn't speak to each other. There's points that we worked together. Jennifer Lopez actually told him he should work with 50 Cent as a songwriter in the beginning, and I was around that early stages, and he could have done my record deal at that point," which was around the year 2000, folks, if you're looking for a timeline. Now, 50 Cent said, following me being fired up by somebody who had a weapon outside of somebody's grandmother's house, and after Trackmaster signed Puffy, 50 Cent said, "I'm just getting back to work," and Puffy would call me to write. And he mentioned somebody else would answer the phone. 50 Cent didn't want to get on the phone, and he was like, "No, no, 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 no." And somebody else was like, "What the heck? We need money." And 50 Cent was like, "No, I don't want to talk to him." He said, "I didn't want to party with him. I didn't want to hang out with him." Puffy's a business person. When people call him a producer, I see people that were taken advantage of, who produce things that he took from them. He got the credit, but he's not a producer. He's been able to take advantage of the business and the creatives in it. I don't have any interest in doing that. I actually fall under the creative, so I just didn't take to hanging out with that. Now, 50 Cent got asked, "Hey, why isn't everybody else speaking up like you are?" He said, well, some of them were involved at the parties and enjoy themselves, so they don't know what the F is on tape or what's not on tape, so they're not going to say anything because they might have had too much fun. And then you've got other people who look and go, well, that's not my business and I don't want to be it. And then you've got a part of culture that says, that's snitching. And it's not uncomfortable for 50 Cent to say what they said because they've been saying it for however many years. I've been telling you, I don't mess with them. I don't like the way you're moving. This is crazy. Everybody else is not going to be as comfortable as I am saying it.
Oprah's Academy scandal. A serious new scandal is rocking Oprah Winfrey's Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. A 17-year-old student recently arrived at a hospital with a deceased body in a bag. Police are now investigating the incident, raising serious concerns about the safety and well-being of the students. This isn't the first time the Academy has faced controversy. In the past, there have been allegations of assault and harassment involving both students and staff. It's a shocking turn of events for a school founded by one of the world's most influential women. I wonder what else Oprah and this school is hiding from the public. Controversial Oprah interview. Remember when the Olsen twins were the hottest thing in Hollywood? Well, a clip from their 2004 Oprah interview resurfaced, and it's got people talking. Back then, rumors were swirling about Mary-Kate's eating disorder. Oprah, being the queen of talk, didn't shy away from the topic. She straight up asked the twins about the rumors and their weight. The Olsen sisters, understandably, were a bit uncomfortable. They tried to brush off the questions, but Oprah kept pressing. It was a bit awkward, to say the least. The interview has been criticized for being insensitive and potentially triggering for people with eating disorders. Some even argue that Oprah crossed a line by asking such personal questions. Her probing and highly inappropriate interview questions. Okay, remember that time Oprah was interviewing Robin Williams and Nathan Lane? Well, she got a little too curious, if you ask me. She started asking Nathan about his sexuality, bringing up his role in the birdcage. It felt a bit out of line to me. It wasn't really relevant to the conversation, and it could have been a bit uncomfortable for him considering he wasn't out at the time and wanted to remain private. Luckily, Robin Williams, being the smooth talker he was, quickly changed the subject. He totally saved the moment from getting too awkward.
Afraid of taking that role and being like typecasting people forever saying, are you or are you not? Is he, honey? I don't know.
It just goes to show that Oprah Winfrey would have done or said anything to get a viral moment. Here we have another insanely inappropriate question. This time the question was directed to the king of pop, Michael Jackson. On February 10th, 1993, Oprah Winfrey interviewed Michael Jackson in a television event that would become the most watched interview in history. Michael Jackson, known for his privacy, had not given an interview in 14 years. This unprecedented live event, which occurred before any sexual abuse allegations were made, captivated a global audience of 90 million viewers. Oprah took advantage of this opportunity and decided it would be a great time to ask Michael Jackson about his virginity.
Are you How could you ask me that question?
In what world is this okay to ask anyone? Oprah is in serious need of a publicist. Oprah paid millions of dollars to block a documentary from being released about her life. Oprah Winfrey has halted production on a documentary about her life that was intended for streaming. Speculation about the reasons for this decision has sparked curiosity among fans. Reports suggest that Winfrey, in a disagreement with Oscar-winning director Kevin McDonald, invested a significant sum to prevent the documentary's release. The project, initially planned for Apple TV+, was shelved after Winfrey repurchased the rights following the end of her content deal with the streaming service. While rumors circulated about creative differences and Winfrey's demands for edits, her team has denied these claims, stating that the timing was not suitable for a documentary. Despite speculation about a multi-million-dollar deal to acquire the rights, Winfrey's representatives have downplayed the cost. What exactly is Oprah hiding? I guess we will never know. The betrayal. The feud between Monique and Oprah Winfrey began in 2009 during the promotion of the movie Precious. Monique claims that Oprah, a producer on the film, pressured her to attend the Cannes Film Festival. Despite her desire to spend time with her family, she believes this led to her being labeled difficult to work with. However, Monique's primary issue lies in a 2010 incident where Oprah invited her brother, Gerald Imes, onto her talk show. Imes had previously assaulted Monique as a child, and she had been open about this trauma. While Oprah did ask for Monique's permission, the comedian felt uncomfortable with the situation. She agreed to the appearance, hoping it might help others, but still felt betrayed by the decision. The Maui Fund controversy. Oprah Winfrey and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson faced significant backlash after launching the People's Fund of Maui to aid wildfire victims. While the initiative aimed to provide direct financial relief to those who lost their homes, many criticized the celebrities for asking the public to donate instead of contributing more themselves.
People's Fund of Maui, because every dollar that you send that goes directly to the people.
They have millions, billions, and they've got friends that have millions, billions, right? So why don't they go to their friends for donation?
Is when we first launched the fund, there was some backlash. I get it, and I completely understand. And I could have been better.
Social media users expressed frustration, questioning why two wealthy individuals were soliciting donations from people struggling financially. Some comments highlighted the stark contrast between the celebrities' wealth and the everyday struggles of those they were asking to contribute. The criticism also extended to the choice of targeting the general public rather than seeking donations from other wealthy individuals or corporations. Many felt that the appeal should have been directed towards those with greater financial means. Oprah's book club controversy. The Oprah and Frey controversy stemmed from the book A Million Little Pieces by James Frey. Winfrey initially promoted the book on her show, praising it as a powerful and honest memoir of addiction and recovery. However, after it was revealed that Frey had fabricated significant portions of the book, Winfrey felt betrayed and publicly confronted him on her show.
I wanted to start with the smoking gun report. I want to know where they write.
This incident sparked a debate about the ethics of memoir writing and the responsibility of authors to be truthful. It also highlighted the power of book clubs and influential figures like Winfrey to shape public opinion and book sales. The controversy ultimately led to a decline in Frey's career and increased scrutiny of memoirs in general. It also raised questions about the role of publishers in verifying the accuracy of autobiographical works. The use of non-disclosure agreements. Oprah Winfrey, a renowned media mogul, is known for her ability to cultivate a public image of warmth and authenticity. However, behind the scenes, she employs stringent measures to maintain her privacy. One such method involves the use of lifetime non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, for her staff. These legally binding contracts ensure that employees, from personal assistants to high-level executives, are prohibited from disclosing any confidential information about Oprah's personal or professional life, even after their employment ends. While such agreements are common in various industries, the lifetime nature of Oprah's NDAs is particularly noteworthy. By imposing these strict confidentiality measures, Oprah effectively creates a protective bubble around her private life. This allows her to maintain a level of control over her public image and avoid unnecessary scrutiny. Her relationship with her mom. Oprah Winfrey's relationship with her mother, Vernita Lee, was a complex one. Lee became a teenage single mother when she gave birth to Oprah. For the first 6 years of Oprah's life, she was raised by her grandmother. When she was 6, Oprah moved to Milwaukee to live with her mother, a struggling single parent. Oprah has often spoken about feeling isolated and abandoned during this time. She described her mother as a stranger and recalled feeling alone and unsupported. The living conditions were difficult, and Oprah often slept on the porch. Tragically, she also endured abuse at the hands of relatives and family friends. Lee went on to have 4 more children, one of whom she gave up for adoption. Despite these challenges, Oprah and her mother eventually reconciled and developed a more loving relationship.
While the older generation loved Oprah Winfrey and what she stood for, people are now seeing the dark side of the star, from hoarding her $3 billion to help cover up crimes. Here are warning signs that prove she's evil. Starting off with the most recent event is her Maui Fund. Dwayne Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, a fund intended to put money directly into the hands of adults displaced by the deadly wildfires that had ripped through Hawaii in August 2023. According to the pair's Instagram post, every adult resident who was displaced by the fires was eligible to receive $1,200 each month from the fund. Now, the pair noted that they had kicked off the campaign with $10 million in donations and asked others to help by contributing further. After announcing the fund, the pair then drew criticism from some people on social media who questioned why they were not contributing more of their personal wealth. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf, and some commenters questioned why the pair, as wealthy celebrities, were asking others to give instead of donating more themselves. "We can't afford it, but you can," one person commented on their video on TikTok. Others questioned why the appeal for donations was being directed at the general public rather than their fellow stars with more financial means. "This is disgusting. Ask other celebrities, not people who are living paycheck to paycheck," another person said. Now, how did Oprah respond to this? Well, she made it worse. In an interview on CBS Mornings, Oprah said that she felt she had been terrorized and vilified online. Then there were the many times that she exploited her guests. Now, one of the most prolific examples of this is when a young Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen were on the show. At the time the interview took place, Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah, knowing this was a touchy subject, brought it up anyways. In the interview, she says, "I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you." Now, Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed by Oprah saying, "You know, the one about eating." Mary-Kate was so thrown by the line of questioning, she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley jumped in to rescue her. "Yeah, you know, people are gonna write what they're gonna write," she says. Now, after some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying, "I don't know," and it was obvious that the questions about their body was uncomfortable. But Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, "Oh, you're not sure? That's so interesting." Another time she's been called out for not being sensitive was when she did an interview she did with Dolly Parton in 2003 that has resurfaced, with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Some people have questioned about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing for personal information. In the first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives a funny answer. Now, Oprah presses her harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done. It seems like Oprah was trying to have a gotcha moment to throw Dolly off and make her uncomfortable, but Dolly just rolls with the punches and admits to it. Dolly even says she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looks disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. A second clip from that same interview popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. She doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. Then there's the strange people she's had on her show. In 2007, Oprah brought Jenny McCarthy, the Playboy model and actress, onto her show to talk about autism. Jenny's young son, Evan, had suffered a series of seizures when he was young and was later diagnosed with autism. Jenny was then adamant that vaccinations Evan received caused his autism. Now, Oprah gave her story a platform and unwittingly started the panic we know today. During that interview, Oprah never challenged Jenny's views either, and Jenny had no scientific evidence to back this claim up. Then, if you didn't know, Oprah has a book club, and she added James Frey's book A Million Little Pieces to the reading list. Now, when James was promoting his books on talk shows or other media outlets, it was referred to as a memoir. But large parts of the story were later found to be exaggerated or fabricated, sparking a media controversy. Now, this was discovered after an investigation was conducted by the Smoking Gun. They determined that James had actually fictionalized some of his story, and controversy arose after Oprah initially defended the book, but she later confronted James on her show. I mean, at least she did her research about the book, but her helping spread misinformation is truly dangerous, and she hasn't taken a lot of accountability. And of course, we have to mention her scandal in South Africa. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGabo of mistreating them. She was then arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 14 different charges. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and to personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life." Now, it seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running. Now, this all could have been avoided. Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying she was covering up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, the case was later settled outside of court before the arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened here though, as speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy spread like wildfire across social media. However, the validity of these statements has not been confirmed or denied.
Oprah has found her name tied to Diddy in recent months after people noticed how comfortable she appeared with the rapper in party snapshots. Now she has been accused of aiding disgraced music artist Sean Diddy Combs and making his transgressions happen over the years. You might recall that Sean Diddy Combs is in some serious trouble right now after multiple people have stepped forward accusing him of engaging with them and others without consent, forcing people into unwanted scenarios, and making people consume things unknowingly, filming and then using that footage from inappropriate parties that he called freak-offs as blackmail to keep it all on the down low, and just generally being a really awful person, and definitely not the kind of guy you'd want your name attached to, especially not if you're someone as famous as Oprah, who has established themselves over the years as someone in firm support of the Me Too movement and being a beacon of hope. Unfortunately for Oprah, she was spotted at Diddy parties of the past, and it is coming back to haunt her. The thing is though, many big Hollywood names have appeared on a Diddy guest list, but not everyone has been a guest at a freak-off. Diddy in general was known as the party host in the 2000s. He hosted the white attire parties, massive birthday celebrations, after parties. They were known for being extravagant and expensive, and everyone wanted to attend. It was a status symbol to be around that much wealth. Allegedly, sometimes the after parties for Diddy events were freak-offs, but many news publications report that often by the time a party descended into a freak-off, many of the famous names had already left. But people aren't just accusing Oprah of attending freak-offs, but also aiding and putting them on. Some sites even saying that she provided the people. Some people even go so far as to claim that Diddy's home was connected to Oprah's via an underground tunnel system, and that's how they did it. And that's a serious thing to say, but Oprah's tunnel accusations don't even just have to do with Diddy, and they didn't start with him either. People have accused Oprah of being part of a larger, multiple parties involved kind of situation that is similar in theme to the Diddy stuff, that directly linked her to some nefarious alleged activity involving forcing younger individuals into bad situations. Surprisingly, one woman claims not only is Oprah involved, but that she was given the address to a tunnel's entrance. Adria English filed a lawsuit against Diddy, claiming she worked for Combs at the Hamptons and Miami parties he threw in the mid to late 2000s. She claimed that the drinks she was given on the job had things in them that she didn't ask for. In addition to allegedly being forced to consume things, English claimed she was also forced to engage in actions she didn't want to do. Adria English did have legal representation, but unexpectedly, her and her team parted ways. The cited reason was irreconcilable differences. The filing read that they disagreed regarding almost every aspect of the litigation. One of the lawyers claimed that her case was great. The issue at hand was that English allegedly undermined their work and went behind their backs, doing things incongruent to advancing her case. That they never lost faith in her case, just in her. And to which English allegedly responded with, "I'm the client, you work for me." But how does this tie back to Oprah? Well, another major point of conflict between English and her representation was that they requested that English refrain from speaking to the media. Pretty soon after parting ways, English spoke to independent media, and the interview made its way around TikTok gossip pages. English claimed that there were tunnels under Oprah's home. She also made the bold statement, she sees what's going on because she's a participant. As of right now, no credible news site has been able to find information confirming this, or a tunnel system under any of Oprah's properties. In fact, some websites have looked into the tunnel rumor and stated it false. I'm not saying that Adria English is lying, just that the information has not yet been officially confirmed. But Diddy isn't the first time Oprah has found her name tied to some questionable characters. She was famously close to the man, who also had a very public falling out with Hollywood after his past transgressions came to light. Name rhymes with Starvey, anyways you get it. Seal publicly called out Oprah on Instagram for her past relationship for this person. The man posted a couple of pictures featuring Oprah interacting with the man, the text reading, "When you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution." Seal added his own caption to this photo, calling out an individual for hearing the rumors but not doing anything about it, and implying that the person was pretending that they didn't know what was happening. Sure, Seal didn't name names, but he did post faces, particularly Oprah's. Everyone assumed he was taking a dig at the talk show host. Seal insisted this wasn't the case, it just happened to be Oprah that was the one pictured with the man. It was more about the man in the picture than the talk show host in the picture, and the text was to be taken as a generalization of the entertainment industry rather than a direct attack. However, people weren't quick to forget it. In fact, this spurred some folks to look closer into the relationship between the two major celebrity figures. One Quora user named Marina Kane made a startling connection between the two parties. Back in 2019, two documentaries with similar themes premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, but only one seemed to earn positive reviews and media coverage. One doc was about the previously mentioned producer, and the other doc was about Michael Jackson. A Hollywood entertainment lawyer made the bombshell claim that the producer and Oprah helped fund the Jackson documentary to draw focus from the one about him. In my own research about this, I was unable to find anything solid confirming this, just what Oprah said about why she provided financial support to the other one. She said she believed the survivors and that the issue was too important to stay silent. A few years ago, a major scandal revealed that Oprah was not as involved with her Leadership Academy as she made it seem. The Leadership Academy was originally designed and created to be a place to uplift girls in the community, but the good deed was quickly tarnished when the dorm matron was accused by multiple students of acting inappropriately towards them. The matron was arrested and faced 14 charges. In addition to those of inappropriate physical contact, the matron was also accused of getting into a physical confrontation with a dorm parent, and separately injuring 3 people while operating a golf cart. Adding more fuel to this fire, Oprah was later sued by the school's headmistress for over $250,000 on grounds of defamation. This was a direct result of the situation with the dorm matron. While that legal battle was happening, Winfrey had publicly commented that she was doing a total overhaul of the school, that she had lost confidence in the headmistress. The headmistress claimed that these statements made it harder for her to find work afterward. Court papers from the case read that Winfrey had originally intended to hire nurses to be the dorm matrons. However, the headmistress went a different route, and according to an article from CBS News, hired 8 young women from a local company called Party Design. Winfrey's lawyers at the time wrote about this, saying these young women were later found to be totally qualified to handle the position, something the headmistress had been warned about. The 2 women were expected to settle this in court, but instead came to an agreement privately shortly before the date. One feature on Oprah's show later came back to bite the host when it was revealed that the star of that segment was accused of over 600 instances of physically engaging with people without consent. The man was called John of God, and he ended up receiving hundreds of years in prison for those charges, among other things. Oprah happened to give this man a spotlight moment during her programming years prior. It framed him in a good light and made him appear as a miracle worker. Since the accusations, his interviews were deleted from her site, and a note was put up in their place with the message that Oprah hoped justice would be served. Oprah spontaneously revealed a shocking secret back in 1995 during a segment on her show. While interviewing 4 mothers who were dealing with issues using substances, Oprah suddenly revealed that she related to these mothers more than anyone could have guessed. The TV star admitted that she also used the substance in question back in the day. The woman woman being interviewed at the time often referenced Oprah's honesty and strength, and it appeared that the comments touched Oprah deeply, and she couldn't help but reveal to the mother that they were more similar than she thought. The host said, "This is probably one of the hardest things I have ever said. I relate to your story so much. I have done this. I know exactly what you are talking about." At the time of admission, it had been about 2 decades since Oprah used the substance, but it's clear that it was always weighing on her. She said, "That is my life's great big secret that has always been held over my head."